Farce is, by today's standards, an old school map. I'd say the gameplay is a bit similar to Open Palms, like very spam-centric, T1-centric. If one of the players is Aeon, like in this case, T2 is going to rule. It's a very messy map. If you take a look at the map size, you're going to realize that the T1 radar barely covers anything. But it's still a very open map, so even though the units take a long time to arrive, a raid is very strong here.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't have any chance at spotting the units before they attack you, unless you have a scout perimeter, but that can be shot down. Or if someone mixes in low amounts of flak into their unit compositions, then it's going to be really messy. Like, by tendency, you don't have any idea of what's going on the map, but this is true for both players. And that's why it comes down to being quick with raiding.
Gotcha. Looks like Blast Chilled has got Aeon going for first land, second air, and then 2 more land factories before he moves his ACU away. And then White Frial is Cybran, got first land queued with a bit of an odd power generator configuration. Probably going second air, if I had to guess, but he may drop a second land factory looking at that.
The power configuration looks like radar goes here. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably comes down to what he thinks his ACU can reach, although I think he's underestimating the build range as far as that goes. This map I have played on. I just forget that it's called Farce in the Forest. What annoys me about this one is that you do have the passageway around the back of your base, which ends up being an easy access point for units that might slip around the edge. And I have died on a couple of occasions to run-bys from that direction. It's one of those areas where you definitely need as many mobile units as you can possibly build to try to hold different locations in the map. And spam, I'm getting a little bit better at it, but spam is not one of my fortes. At least as far as land units are concerned. I like the early attempt at raiding. We've got a couple of hunters out, left and right side from White Frial, but there are tanks in place from Blast Shield that will be able to kill those, and he does have scouts out with them as well to get the radar coverage out there.
We are actually seeing 2 very different approaches. We got the early expansion from White Frial and early reclaim from Blast Shield. I think if he has a good estimation of how good the trees are on this map, then reclaim is going to be better, just by tendency. White Frial is basically still operating in the center, in the core, and yeah, like what I'm trying to say is there's a lack of reclaim from White Frial.
Yes.
And he's got a lot of factories instead. Wow.
There are quite a few boulders up towards the front that I think Blast Shield has not queued up as of yet for manual reclaim, but he is getting reclaim towards the rear of his base. There's groups of 3 boulders around, 175, 2 175, 2 113s in several areas. So if you pick those up, I mean, just a couple of those and you've got yourself a T2 mass extractor.
And that's probably why we want to save them for later. Like, there's small rocks on the way there, and I think Blast Shield has looted some of them. I know that White Frial has looted some of them too.
I like that he's getting some T1 point defense on the outside edges. He's trying to get these outside run-bys locked down. He does have a choke point to work with, so as long as he can hold out till his own forces get there, he'll be fine. He can react. Of course, if there's Medusas on the map, the T1 point defense are not going to be that good. They're not going to really deny anything, but they will slow things down. That Aurora is having a hell of a time hitting. The engineer actually reclaimed the lab out from under the nose of the Aurora. The Aurora wasn't able to land a hit because of the twitching on the lab. Love to see little bits of micro war like that. The Aurora is, I don't know, when you come down to T1 spam, they can seem so incredibly overwhelming. Because like I was looking at in the north there, that Aurora was able to land a couple of hits without even getting in danger of taking any damage from the Mantis that was aggressing. So I don't... It's one of those weird setups. You get a gun comm out, the Aurora is kind of wilt in front of it, and then if you get enough units together, it seems like Auroras aren't quite as good, especially considering Mantis are significantly faster and can close that range gap, just like we saw over there on the left just now. But when you have clumps of 6, 7, 8 Auroras versus an equivalent number of Mantis and they can kite away, it just seems really overpowered.
I need to correct what I said earlier about the builds. Both players have included Reclaim into the builds, but the difference was that Blast Shield focused on power reclaim. You can see that in the stats, while White Frial focused on mass reclaim. And that's why White Frial had his power generators a lot earlier, and he also got the Hydro fast. And Blast Shield just didn't upgrade as much, didn't build as much power generators, but instead got the trees behind his base.
White Frial does have 1800 mass reclaim, but yeah, you're right. Yeah. He's only got 500 power reclaim. Blast Shield, on the other hand, has 5,000 power reclaim, but Blast Shield does have significantly more reclaim overall, 2600 on the mass count.
Yeah, he just reclaimed the 4 or 5 rocks with the engineer next to his Hydro, and those probably contributed around like 1,200-ish mass.
Gotcha. ACU moving over to the left for White Frial. That's definitely going to be able to secure this expansion. Aurora's kiting away. Blast Shield pretty quick on his reflexes there. That was a pickup on one of his scouts, so he's losing his intel on that side, but he should be able to maintain. Blast Shield's moving his ACU into the general area as well. And on the south, White Frial has a pretty distinct unit advantage. There are some coming from the base for yellow, but at least as far as the south expansion itself goes, I think White Frial is going to be free to take that.
I'm glad Blast Shield is adding more factories now. He's been short on units in general.
Yes.
But I do think there's... the ACU interaction is going to be important, because I don't think White Frial knows that Blast Shield is there with his commander and units, but Blast Shield has the intel over it.
White Frial does not have any form of radar or scouting at this point, and has nothing tagged over there on the left on the front line. He's seeing the fire that his mechs is taking, but he's not going to know exactly what's hitting him.
Well, now he knows, I guess. Like, when you zoom out, you can see the size of the projectile, and the ACU has a much larger yellow blip than tanks. So White Frial knows that the ACU is there, and he's retreating. Like, yes. I kind of expected him to suicide into Blast Shield's ACU, because he really didn't know anything like about this place, how many units there are and stuff. But he retreated in time, and he had many units around his ACU, so he was very careful. I think I could have died there if this was me.
Blast Shield's really focused on that reclaim to the south side of his base. He's actually dedicated a land factory to only building engineers that are out on attack move, so that they can get all those trees reclaimed.
A very beautiful eco-management right now. You can see how difficult it is to like introduce this this reclaim, include it into your build. But like he overbuilt only a little bit of power, and his mass is perfectly even.
White Frial is overflowing power quite heavily. He's not getting a whole lot of mass reclaim in at the moment, so I don't think he's in any danger of going into negative on the power, but I think overall he did overbuild. He's overflowing 176 right now. He would probably drop to only about 90 with his mass balanced. So he's still up several P-gens.
Maybe we're going to see T2 air from him. Like, overbuilding power is typically a mistake, but whenever I realize I overbuild power, I go T2 air, and T2 gunships could be very good against Aurora. It takes them like 2 seconds to kill Aurora.
It might be an accident, but it's a happy accident because you can make it work.
Yeah, exactly.
White Frial is actually going to burn some of his power off. He's got an ACU upgrade going. I think that's going to be the gun, yeah.
Yeah.
Blast Shield is starting his second gun upgrade now, so that's still going to be very difficult to deal with. that ACU commander in the earliest portion of the game is incredibly difficult to go up against because of the range. It can kite out just about anything through to the T3 phase. Doesn't it have equal range to hoplites?
The gun upgrade, you mean? Actually,
Yes.
higher range.
Higher range than the hoplites even.
I think so. Like, the gun range should be 35. I'm not sure if hoplites... I think hoplites are 37, but like, the ACU has a bit of ghost range because of the way the hoplites work.
Gotcha.
So, like, you wouldn't want to use hoplites against a T2 ACU, like a gun ACU, I mean. Non-Aeon ACU can work out, but the Aeon ACU can comfortably counter hoplites and burstables.
I think White Frial was very caught up with killing off the units on the left, but oh no, he does have a couple of Medusas. Okay, I was about to say, he knows that that point defense is there because he had a unit run by it earlier, but he's pushing his units up there again. He should be able to knock the point defense out with the Medusas, but like I was saying earlier, it buys time. And while he's trying to get that sorted, the tanks from Blast Shield are going to be able to move up from the base and take care of those forces. Foolish use of the Mantis there. T1 point defense just going to wreck them, barely taking any damage at all.
I just checked the unit count for both players and realized they have the same amount of land units and the same amount of air units.
Really?
Yeah. Like, White Frial is on a heavy RE mix, while Blast Shield is, of course, focusing on Aurora and not mixing in a lot of fervor. But
Blast Shield's building exclusively bombers from a heavily assisted air factory in the back. I'm curious to see what his plan is with that. Maybe he's softening up the T1 forces for his gun commander to eat through more easily.
that's a bit atypical. Like, if I made the bombers, I'd either target the power or I'd mass so much that I can get the ACU to low HP and then finish it off with the T1 bombers.
Gotcha.
But he's actually going for the point defense and the radar.
Not a terrible idea, and if he does go past and then swing around to the P-Gens, he could potentially take out 6, maybe 7 P-Gens in one pass if he has 2 bombs on the power generators for a sure kill and then 1 on the damaged P-Gens for a couple more. Point defense is going to go to 300 HP and Interceptor's moving in. So Owl was prepared for that, but he's not going to be able to kill them quickly enough. Looks like Blast Shield is going to take control of the left side quite thoroughly. He's actually got his AA Auroras out here, wiping out the air that Owl did have. He's also going to get these mass extractors under control. I think we're now seeing a distinct unit advantage for Blast Shield. He's got a lot of stuff out on the map.
Very concerning for White Frial, probably the HP difference on the ACUs too. So White Frial wants to be like careful with using his ACU, while Blast Shield can pretty much just walk in as long as he has enough units.
T2 land shift from White Frial.
Yeah. Not sure if I would have done that.
I think that the T2 air probably would have been much more valuable in this situation. White Frial did have a pretty distinct economy advantage just a few moments ago, but Blast Shield has completely caught up and surpassed him with the rating on those mexes on the outside. He's now going to lose a chunk of his base over on the right. Owl's got a T2 support factory up on the front line, and he is building it with a fair bit of assistance, going for Rhinos. How do you think Rhinos fare against Auroras? Better or worse than Mantis?
A lot better. Like, really a lot better.
I did not think that they had that much range. They're also quite slow.
You cannot realistically expect Aurora to outrange Rhinos. Same as Pillars. Like, you can try, but it typically doesn't work.
Gotcha.
Because this range advantage you have is like so minimal. Aurora is very good if the opponent doesn't have a critical number of T2 units, so that if it's just low HP and defeat in detail on your side, then like you can pretty much swarm the enemy T2 units. But like this range advantage of Aurora, it translates into defeat and detail advantage, and not really into a I shoot and he doesn't shoot back case for individual units if there's T2 on the map.
Gotcha.
But now we got a power snipe from Blast Shield, and I think this should seal the deal.
I was looking at the left-hand side. White Free Owl has regened a lot of his HP disadvantage. He is going to control K, though.
Yeah.
To say he did have a slight chance of closing on Blast Shield's commander and trying to at least get a mutual KO, but that was definitely GG because his base is now in tatters.
He forgot stealth on the ACU, and Blast Shield managed to kite White Free Owl and get this initial HP advantage. I think this made a lot of difference.
T2 gunships were building in the back end for Blast Shield as well, so that's probably would have stopped what I was just talking about. So nice moves from Blast Shield overall. He kind of hung a little bit closer to his base at the beginning and wasn't quite as strong on his expansion, but man, once he got the build power rolling, that was brutal.